Can you imagine that in 2026, the world's sole superpower, America, will lose to a country it has been sanctioning for the past 40 years? This is not my claim, but that of Professor Sine, whose two predictions regarding Trump have already come true. Now, the world awaits the third. This is no ordinary conspiracy theory, but a terrifying prediction by game theory expert Professor Sine, which is now rapidly becoming reality. If this proves true, within the next 6 months, the money sitting in your bank accounts will become nothing more than worthless paper, and the global system could change forever. In this video, we will expose the secret script that the mainstream media is hiding from you. We will see how Iran's cheap $800 drones are shattering America's trillion-dollar arrogance into the dust. And most importantly, is Donald Trump pushing the entire world toward destruction just for emergency war powers or to extend his presidency? A path that leads directly to the agendas of secret societies and the end times. In the next few minutes, you are going to see a side of the truth that the world probably cannot even imagine. Professor Sine's first prediction was that Donald Trump would win the election again, which proved absolutely true. The second prediction was that as soon as Trump came into power, a terrifying war would break out between America and Iran, and that happened too. But his third prediction, which has blown everyone's minds, is that in this war, the world's biggest superpower, America, will be brutally defeated. And this is not just a prediction. There are several logical arguments behind it. Today we will do a complete post-mortem of this third and most dangerous prediction and understand how a military superpower can possibly lose to Iran. Professor Sine, a renowned expert in game theory and geopolitical events, has made it absolutely clear in his recent interview that America cannot win this war under any circumstances. Let's get straight to the point and understand where Iran stands right now. If we look at the professor's deep analysis, it reveals that Iran hasn't been preparing for this war for just a year or two, but for a full 20 years. Within their Islamic regime, this is viewed as a final war, in which they consider America to be the Great Satan. Iran gained immense experience from the conflict that took place last June. At that time, they didn't just attack, they deeply studied the strengths of both America and Israel, the weaknesses of their defense systems, and their methods of retaliation. They had 8 full months to thoroughly prepare for this new attack, and during this time, by engaging in dialogue with America, they were doing nothing but buying time. The biggest point is that instead of fighting directly, Iran is making brilliant use of its proxies. These proxies include the Houthis in Yemen, Hezbollah in Lebanon, Hamas in Palestine, and various Shia militant groups in Iraq and Syria. Together, they have thoroughly read the American mentality and their way of fighting. Now, their strategy isn't just to kill American soldiers. Their master strategy is to destroy the entire American empire and the global economy. Instead of clashing directly with America, these groups are targeting the countries that are the true source of America's economic power, namely the GCC countries, which include Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Qatar, and Bahrain. Just how dangerous and well-planned Iran's strategy is can be judged by the fact that they aren't just dropping missiles on military bases. They are also targeting the critical energy infrastructure and water systems of these Arab nations. These Middle Eastern countries do not have natural resources for drinking water. They process salty seawater through desalination plants. Over 60% of the water in these countries comes from these desalination plants. Professor Sine explained this with a terrifying example. If a small Iranian drone, costing barely $800, were to hit and destroy a main water desalination plant in the Saudi Arabian city of Riyadh, the drinking water in that city of 10 million people would run out within just 2 weeks. And it is also essential for you to know that these Arab countries serve as the backbone of the American economy. The main reason for this is the petrodollar system. These Arab nations sell their oil to the world in dollars, which keeps the demand for the dollar consistently high. Then, these same countries reinvest those dollars back into the American stock market and real estate. Nowadays, America's entire economy and stock market are heavily reliant on artificial intelligence. The heaviest investments in these AI data centers come from these very Gulf states and Arab countries. Due to this war, if these Gulf states cannot sell their oil, their economies will obviously be devastated. And naturally, they will then stop making further investments in America's AI systems. The day this Arab investment stops, America's false AI bubble will completely burst, and with it, the entire American economy will crash to the ground. Professor Sine has termed this a financial Ponzi scheme in his own words. Now the question arises, why is the world's most advanced and powerful American military unable to counter these cheap drones? The real reason is that the entire structure and mindset of the American military belongs to the era of World War II and the Cold War. In the Cold War era, the real competition was about muscle flexing. Who has the most expensive and complex technology? Who goes to the moon first? And who has the biggest missiles? America's entire air defense system is based on such expensive and complex technology, which costs billions of dollars to build and operate. In contrast, modern warfare in the 21st century has completely changed. This is the era of asymmetric warfare, where a very cheap weapon can destroy a highly expensive system. Recently, a video from Israel shocked defense experts worldwide. A single, ordinary Iranian ballistic missile was heading toward the ground, and to stop it in mid-air, America and Israel fired 11 different interceptor missiles, yet they still couldn't stop it. On the other hand, Iranian Shahed drones are manufactured entirely within Iran and Russia, meaning they do not have to depend on any other country for their supply line. The Shahed 136 drone, also known as Garan-2, has proven to be a game-changer in modern warfare due to its simplicity and low cost. These drones feature a two-stroke piston engine that can cover a distance of 2,000 kilometers at a speed of 185 kilometers per hour, using only 100 liters of fuel. Operating them isn't very difficult either. They are simply launched by entering GPS coordinates. Because they fly at very low altitudes, there are two major advantages. First, they spread terror wherever they pass, and second, low flying makes them extremely difficult to intercept. At just 8 feet wide, this drone can carry up to 40 kilograms of explosive material. Trying to stop it with expensive interceptors is like using a train to stop a car. The U.S. Defense Secretary and the Joint Chiefs of Staff have told CNN that Iranian drones are creating a bigger problem than anticipated, and they are harder to stop compared to ballistic missiles. This is a massive financial disaster. On one side, a cheap Iranian drone or missile costs a few $1,000s, while the interceptor missile America fires to shoot it down costs several $1 million. When you fire a multi-million-dollar missile to destroy a $50,000 drone, you simply cannot afford to fight this war for long. Now, America's stockpile of these expensive missiles is rapidly depleting, and they are even having to use their military reserves located in Asia, which they had been saving out of fear of China. This is actually a sign of the shattering of that American arrogance which has maintained its global dominance for 20 years. If this continues, not only will the petrodollar be destroyed, but the world will rapidly move toward a multipolar order, where America's influence over the globe will be buried. Aside from all this, so far, America and Israel are only launching airstrikes. But history is a witness that no country has ever been able to change another country's government solely through airstrikes. For regime change, you absolutely have to deploy ground troops. According to statements from top American officials and the Secretary of War, America currently has no intention whatsoever of sending its ground troops. The first reason is overconfidence. Recently, the small but successful operation Trump conducted in Venezuela made him overconfident about the American military's capacity. Just like how Hitler, after easily conquering Europe, arrogantly attacked the Soviet Union, which ultimately led to the destruction of his army. The second reason is political gain. Although this war brings no benefit to America itself, Trump is personally reaping both political and financial rewards. Saudi Arabia and Israel are indirectly lobbying for this war. Remember that Saudi Arabia has made a massive $2 billion investment in the private equity fund of Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner. On the other hand, Israel's major financial backers, like Miriam Adelson, are funding Trump's political career. Even though the U.S. Constitution does not allow a president to serve a third term, Miriam has openly stated that if Trump runs for a third term, she will give him $250 million. It's also entirely possible that under the guise of war, Donald Trump could extend his tenure as a wartime president. In the third reason, the professor openly explained that if you study the world's old leaks and Epstein files, you will understand that this world system is actually being run by certain secret societies. The most famous among them is the Illuminati group, which is further divided into 3 factions. On one side are the Jesuits, who control the Vatican. On another side are the Sabbatean Frankists, who hold power over modern Israel's power structure. And on the third side are the Freemasons, who control America's entire national security and military apparatus. These secretive and powerful groups hold a strong belief that in the end times there will be a great war in the Middle East, and according to them, Israel's involvement in it is necessary so that their heaven on earth can be established. This is a pre-written spiritual script that these people are following at all costs, regardless of whether there is any logic in these actions or not, and regardless of whether it destroys the entire global economy. They are only concerned with their end times agenda. This was Professor Sine's third prediction, which today seems to be on the path to coming true, following the first 2. The conclusion of all this is simply that America is fighting a war that, even if it wins by luck, will still be considered a massive defeat for America. Just as it happened in Iraq, Libya, Syria, and Afghanistan, attacking Iran will be like shooting themselves in the foot. What is your opinion on this? Be sure to let me know in the comments section. We will meet in the next spectacular video.